There is a country at the very center of Europe, where the sun rises over endless flat plains and sets behind rolling hills covered in vineyards older than most nations, where the language spoken on the streets shares almost nothing with any other tongue on the continent, where thermal waters rise steaming from the earth beneath Baroque palaces and Ottoman bathhouses. This is Hungary. A nation of just under 10 million people, landlocked at the crossroads of east and west, north and south, and we are not here as tourists. We are here to understand what it truly means to live in Hungary. From the coffee houses of Budapest, to the cattle pastures of the Great Plain, from the wine cellars of Tokaj to the paprika drying porches of Szeged. Over the next 30 minutes, we will walk through one complete day inside this country. Not the Hungary of postcards and guidebooks, but the Hungary that wakes before dawn, that works through the afternoon, that gathers around long tables as the evening light fades across the Danube. This is not a travel film. It is a portrait of daily life, chapter by chapter, region by region. And by the time we reach the final question, you will understand not just what Hungary looks like, but what it feels like to call it home. Before you can understand the people of Hungary, you must first understand the land. Hungary sits in the Carpathian Basin, a great natural bowl ringed by the Carpathian Mountains to the north and east, the Alps to the west, and the Dinaric Alps to the south. For over 1,000 years, this basin has gathered rivers, cultures, and conflicts into its wide open center. The result is a landscape of extraordinary variety compressed into a country smaller than the state of Indiana. Two great rivers define the Hungarian map. The Danube enters from the northwest at the city of Esztergom, curves dramatically south through Budapest, and exits towards Serbia. It is not simply a waterway. It is the country's spine. The Tisza, wilder and less tamed, flows through the east, past the city of Szeged, where its banks fill with fishermen at dawn and families at dusk. Between these rivers lies the Great Plain, the Alfold. This is the Hungary of the popular imagination. Endless flat horizons, vast open skies, fields of sunflowers that stretch to the edge of sight. In the city of Debrecen, the cultural capital of the plain, the land is so flat that church spires are visible from 20 kilometers away. The soil here is black and rich, among the most fertile in Europe. To the west, across the Danube, lies Transdanubia. This is a different Hungary entirely. Gentle hills, dense forests, and the largest lake in Central Europe, Lake Balaton, known to Hungarians simply as the Hungarian Sea. In summer, the southern shore at Siófok fills with families from Budapest and beyond, the shallow water warming quickly under the July sun. The northern shore at Balatonfüred is quieter, more elegant, its promenade lined with centuries-old plane trees. In the north, the landscape rises into the North Hungarian mountains. Here, in the Bükk and Mátra ranges, forests of oak and beech cover the slopes, and the air carries the coolness of altitude. The city of Eger sits at the foot of these hills, its castle walls still bearing the memory of the Ottoman siege. Further east, the village of Holoko preserves a way of building that has largely vanished elsewhere in Europe. Whitewashed houses with wooden verandas, unchanged for centuries. The seasons in Hungary are dramatic. Summer in Szeged, the city of sunshine, can push temperatures past 35 degrees Celsius, the air thick and still over the Tisza. Winter on the Great Plain brings a different kind of intensity. Cold winds sweep down from the Carpathians with nothing to stop them. In Debrecen, snow can lie for weeks, and the silence of a frozen puszta at dawn is something that stays with you long after you leave. This is the environment that has shaped Hungarian life for 1,000 years. Not gentle, not forgiving, but generous to those who understand its rhythms. A typical day in Hungary begins with bread. Not the sliced white loaf of supermarkets, but crusty, fresh-baked kenyér from the corner Pekseg, the bakery that opens before sunrise in every neighborhood of every town. In Budapest's District 7, the old Jewish quarter, commuters stop for a quick coffee and a pastry at one of the hundreds of small espresso bars that have transformed the ruined courtyards of this historic neighborhood into something vibrantly contemporary. The morning commute in Budapest is a study in contrasts. The city's Metro Line 1, the oldest underground railway in continental Europe, still runs beneath Andrassy Avenue in its original yellow carriages. A few streets away, modern trams glide silently along the Grand Boulevard. The city is dense, walkable, layered with a century of architectural ambition. Around 8 in the morning, the bridges across the Danube fill with traffic. The Chain Bridge, the Liberty Bridge, the Elizabeth Bridge, each carries thousands of people from the hills of Buda to the flat streets of Pest and back again. But daily life in Hungary is not defined by Budapest alone. In Szeged, the morning rhythm is slower. The university gives the city a youthful energy. Students cycle along the Tisza embankment, past the twin spires of the votive church, past the open-air cafes that fill the city centre. The air here smells different than in the capital. Cleaner, lighter, touched with the scent of the river. In Pécs, near the Croatian border, the morning light has a Mediterranean quality. The city's Ottoman past is visible everywhere, in the domed mosque that now serves as a Catholic church, in the remaining minaret, in the narrow streets of the old town. People here walk more slowly. The climate is milder. The morning coffee lingers a little longer before the working day begins. Across the country, lunch is the main meal. Between noon and 2, offices empty, schools pause, and the country sits down to eat. A bowl of gulyás leves, the famous goulash soup, might appear on the table, or a plate of pörkölt, the slow-cooked meat stew seasoned with paprika and patience. This is not fast food. It is food that expects you to slow down. The afternoon stretches differently depending on where you are. In Debrecen, the working day ends by 4 or 5, and the city's main square fills with people. The Great Church, Hungary's largest Protestant cathedral, casts a long shadow across the plaza. Students from the university gather on the steps. Older couples walk arm in arm. The pace is unhurried, deliberate, deeply peaceful. In the evening, families gather. Children return from school, from sports practice, from music lessons. Hungary has one of the highest rates of music education in Europe, a legacy of the Kodály method, born here and exported worldwide. In living rooms across the country, from Sopron near the Austrian border to Nyíregyháza in the northeast, the evening is for togetherness, for dinner around a table, for the slow unwinding of the day. The Hungarian home tells its own story. In Budapest, the majority of families live in apartments. The city's residential architecture spans everything from grand 19th century courtyard buildings in the Palace district to the panelházak, the prefabricated concrete blocks built during the socialist era that house roughly 1 in 5 Budapest residents. From the outside, these buildings can look severe. Step inside, and the picture changes. The apartments, often modest in size, are maintained with care. Hungarian homes are clean. Shoes come off at the door. Floors are swept daily. The home is treated with a seriousness that borders on reverence. In the countryside, the picture shifts. Outside Debrecen, in the villages of the Hajdúság region, many families still live in the traditional Hungarian longhouse, a low rectangular building with a veranda running its length, painted white, with geraniums in the windows and a vegetable garden in the back. These houses often hold 3 generations under one roof. The grandmother tends the garden. The parents work in the city. The children grow up surrounded by a density of family attention that is increasingly rare in Western Europe. In the northern hills around Holoko, a UNESCO World Heritage Village, the homes are wooden beamed with thatched or tiled roofs, built in the Palach style unique to this region. Stone cellars dug into the hillside store wine and preserves through the winter. These houses are not museums. People live in them, cook in them, raise children in them, just as their great-grandparents did. The Hungarian relationship with family is deep and often intense. Parents are heavily involved in the lives of adult children. Sunday lunch at the Nagymama's house, grandmother's house, is not an occasional event. For many families, it is the anchor of the week. Across the country on Sunday afternoons, tables fill with húslevs, meat soup and rantot hús, breaded fried meat, and the conversation runs for hours. The government has invested heavily in supporting families. Generous tax breaks for having children, subsidized housing loans, extended maternity leave that can last up to 3 years. Hungary wants its people to have children, and it has structured its economy to make that possible. In cities like Győr, the industrial hub of the northwest where Audi operates one of the largest engine factories in the world, young families are a common sight. Parks are full of strollers on weekday afternoons. The family is not an afterthought here. It is the organizing principle of public life. Hungarian food is not subtle. It does not whisper. It arrives at the table with the confidence of 1,000 years of paprika-soaked tradition, and at the heart of almost every savory dish is that single spice. Paprika. Dried, ground, and used in quantities that astonish visitors. In Szeged, the spiritual home of Hungarian paprika, the peppers are harvested in late summer and hung to dry from the eaves of farmhouses, turning the villages red-orange in the September light. The foundation dishes of Hungarian cuisine are known around the world, but they taste different in the country that created them. Gulyás, the rich beef soup, is not the stew served in restaurants abroad. It is thinner, more aromatic, eaten with fresh white bread and a side of kasipos paprika paste for those who want more heat. Pörkölt, the true stew, is darker, thicker, cooked slowly with onions and paprika until the meat surrenders to the sauce. And halasle, fisherman's soup, made from river fish and enough paprika to turn the broth deep crimson, is the pride of the riverside towns along the Tisza and the Danube. But Hungarian food culture reaches beyond these famous dishes. In Eger, the wine cellars carved into the hillside, known as the Valley of the Beautiful Women, serve the region's famous red blend, Egri Bikavér, bull's blood. The name comes from the legend of defenders who drank red wine before battle, staining their beards and making the Ottoman soldiers believe they had drunk the blood of bulls. True or not, the wine itself is rich, warm, and deeply connected to the volcanic soil of this region. In Tokaj, in the far northeast, the wine is something else entirely. Tokaj and Eger, the golden dessert wine, was once called the wine of kings by Louis XIV of France. The grapes grow on the slopes of extinct volcanoes, touched by the morning mist from the Bodrog River, developing a noble rot that concentrates the sugars into something extraordinary. The cellars here, some of them carved into the volcanic tuff centuries ago, maintain perfect temperature year-round. The winemakers treat their craft with the seriousness of surgeons. Culture in Hungary is not confined to food. Budapest is a city of extraordinary artistic depth. The Hungarian State Opera House on Andrassy Avenue is considered one of the finest opera venues in the world, its acoustics rivaling those of La Scala. The city's ruin bars, born in the abandoned buildings of the old Jewish quarter after the fall of socialism, have become a global cultural phenomenon. Simpler Kurt, the original, is a labyrinth of mismatched furniture, vintage bicycles hanging from the ceiling, and an atmosphere that feels like a house party thrown by artists who have been at it since the 1990s. In Szentendre, a small town on the Danube bend just north of Budapest, painters and sculptors have gathered for over a century. The cobblestone streets, the Orthodox churches with their onion domes, the galleries opening onto hidden courtyards. This is Hungarian creative life at its most concentrated. The Mediterranean colors of the buildings reflect the Serbian settlers who shaped this town centuries ago. And music. Hungary has produced an extraordinary number of composers and performers for a country of its size. Bartók, Kodály, Liszt, names that shaped the course of 20th century music. In the concert halls of Budapest and the music schools of Kecskemét, the Kodály method, a philosophy of music education based on singing and movement, is still taught with conviction. Children learn solfège before they learn to read music. The result is a population with one of the highest levels of musical literacy anywhere on Earth. The Hungarian economy does not look like the economies of Western Europe. It is smaller, more concentrated, and shaped by a history that includes 40 years of state socialism, followed by a rapid, often painful transition to the market. The result is an economy that is growing but uneven, modern in its cities, traditional in its countryside, and deeply integrated with the German-speaking world to its west. In Budapest, the economic landscape has transformed dramatically in the last 2 decades. International companies have established major offices here. Shared service centers for banks, technology companies, and pharmaceutical firms employ tens of thousands of young, well-educated Hungarians. The city's universities produce a steady stream of engineers, programmers, and business graduates. Walk through the corridors of an office tower in the 13th district, and you might hear conversations in Hungarian, English, German, and French within the space of a single floor. The automotive sector is a pillar of the national economy. In Győr, Audi's plant produces engines that power vehicles sold on every continent. In Kecskemét, Mercedes-Benz operates a major assembly facility. The German influence is visible not just in the factory floors, but in the surrounding towns. In the bakeries that sell pretzels alongside pogacza, in the increasing use of German as a second language in shops and restaurants. But the Hungarian economy is not just factories and offices. Agriculture remains vital, particularly on the Great Plain. The black soil of the Alföld produces wheat, corn, sunflower seeds, and livestock. Near Hortobágy, the vast grasslands of the Puszta, traditional herders still work with Hungarian grey cattle, a breed of long-horned cattle that has survived here for centuries. The Sisykos, the mounted herdsmen, are a living link to a way of life that predates industry and will likely outlast it. The working culture in Hungary is formal by Western standards, but relaxed by Eastern ones. Hierarchies exist and are generally respected. Managers are addressed by their titles. Decisions flow from the top. But the Hungarian workplace also carries a certain flexibility. Lunch is sacred. Relationships matter as much as contracts. A deal that makes sense on paper but feels wrong in person will be pursued slowly, if at all. Small businesses define the texture of Hungarian economic life. In Sopron, the historic city near the Austrian border, independent wine bars, bakeries, and craft shops line the medieval streets. The proximity to Austria creates a cross-border economy. Many residents of Sopron work in Vienna, 70 kilometers away, earning Austrian wages while living at Hungarian costs. This arrangement, replicated along the entire western border, is quietly reshaping the economic geography of the region. Wages in Hungary are rising but remain significantly below the European Union average. A software developer in Budapest earns well by local standards, but far less than a counterpart in Munich or Amsterdam. The cost of living is lower too, but the gap is closing, especially in Budapest, where housing costs have risen sharply. The economic picture, like so much in Hungary, is a story of gradual convergence, a country moving steadily toward prosperity, but not yet arrived. Hungarians are not immediately warm. The first encounter can feel formal, even distant. Greetings are polite but brief. Smiles are earned, not offered freely. But this reserve is not coldness. It is a different architecture of social connection, one that takes longer to enter but holds more weight once you are inside. In Budapest, social life revolves around the kávéház, the coffee house. This is not a casual relationship. The Budapest Coffee House is an institution. Gerbeau on Vörösmarty Square has been serving coffee and cakes since 1858, its chandeliers and gilded mirrors unchanged through empires, wars and revolutions. New York Cafe on the Grand Boulevard, once described as the most beautiful cafe in the world, still serves coffee beneath frescoed ceilings to tourists and locals alike. But the real coffee house culture lives in smaller establishments. In the side streets of the 8th District, in neighborhood spots where the owner knows every customer by name, where the newspaper is still read in print, where a single espresso can support 2 hours of conversation. Outside the capital, social life is organized differently. In villages across the Great Plain, the community gathers around the church, the school, and the local festival. In Hortobágy, the annual bridge fair brings hundreds of people together around traditional crafts, horsemanship displays, and the food stalls that line the ancient 9-arch bridge. The Sisakos compete in shows of skill passed down through generations. The atmosphere is not performative. It is a community reminding itself of who it is. Festivals mark the rhythm of the Hungarian year. In March, the anniversary of the 1848 revolution brings the country onto the streets, wearing tricolour cockades of red, white and green. In August, the Sziget Festival transforms an island in the Danube into one of Europe's largest music festivals, drawing 500,000 people to Budapest for a week of music, art and controlled chaos. On August 20th, St. Stephen's Day, the founding of the Hungarian state is celebrated with fireworks over the Danube. The display is launched from the bridges and barges, the explosions reflected in the dark water, the entire city gathered on both banks. Christmas, Karácsony, is the most intimate of Hungarian holidays. In the weeks before, the Christmas markets open in Budapest's Vörösmarty Square and outside the Basilica. The air fills with the smell of kutoszkalaks, chimney cake, dough wrapped around a cylinder and roasted over coals, then rolled in sugar and cinnamon. On Christmas Eve, families gather. The tree is decorated, often with salon kukor, chocolate candies wrapped in colourful foil and hung from the branches. The evening meal is meatless by tradition. Fish soup, stuffed cabbage and bejgli, the poppy seed and walnut rolls that appear on every Hungarian table at Christmas. And then there is the Hungarian relationship with the thermal bath. This is not recreation. It is a way of life. Beneath Hungary, a vast reservoir of geothermally heated water sits close to the surface. Over 1,000 thermal springs rise across the country. In Budapest, the Széchenyi Baths in City Park are the largest medicinal baths in Europe. On any given afternoon, regardless of the weather, the outdoor pools are full of Hungarians playing chess on floating boards while steam rises around them. In Heves, near Lake Balaton, the largest thermal lake in the world, stays warm year-round, water lilies floating on its surface. The thermal bath is the great social equalizer. In the warm water, age, profession, and status dissolve. Old men discuss politics in the corner pools. Young couples drift in the steam. The bath is conversation, therapy, and ritual combined into something that predates every government and will outlast every political crisis. It is, in many ways, the most Hungarian thing there is. No country is without its difficulties, and Hungary's challenges are real, persistent, and woven into the fabric of daily life. They are not always visible to the visitor, but they shape the decisions, anxieties, and conversations of everyone who lives here. The most immediate economic challenge is the cost of living relative to wages. In Budapest, rental prices have risen sharply over the past decade, driven by tourism, foreign investment, and the conversion of apartments into short-term rentals. A young couple in the 9th district might spend half their combined income on a one-bedroom apartment. The dream of home ownership, deeply embedded in the Hungarian psyche, feels increasingly distant for the generation now entering their 30s. Beyond Budapest, the challenges are different. In the small towns of the northeast, in the villages around Miskolc and Ozd, the collapse of heavy industry in the 1990s created wounds that have not fully healed. Factory closures, population loss, and persistent unemployment have left communities struggling. Young people leave for Budapest or for jobs abroad. Schools consolidate. Bus services are reduced. The feeling of being left behind, of watching the future happen somewhere else, is a quiet undercurrent in many rural conversations. Demographics present another layer of difficulty. Hungary's population is shrinking. The fertility rate, despite considerable government incentives, remains below the replacement level. The population has declined from over 10.7 million in 1980 to under 10 million today. In villages across the southern Great Plain, empty houses outnumber occupied ones. The demographic challenge is not unique to Hungary, but it is felt here with particular intensity. Then there is the weather. The Great Plain is increasingly vulnerable to drought. Summers that were once warm are now punishingly hot, the soil cracking, the crops stressed. In the summer of 2022, a historic drought devastated agricultural yields across the Alfold. Farmers near Kecskemét watched their corn wither in the fields. Climate change is not theoretical here. It is measured in lost harvests and rising costs. And yet, Hungarians have a word for resilience that their history has earned. This is a nation that has survived Mongol invasions, 150 years of Ottoman occupation, Habsburg rule, 2 world wars fought on its soil, and 4 decades of socialism. Through all of it, the language survived, the culture survived, the stubborn, quiet, paprika-flavored identity survived. This history does not make current challenges easier, but it does mean that few Hungarians believe they are insurmountable. Hungary is a country in conversation with its past. This conversation is not always easy, but it is constant. On the streets of Budapest, the modern and the traditional coexist in ways that can feel almost surreal. In the city centre, a young Hungarian checks cryptocurrency prices on a smartphone while sitting beneath a fresco painted in 1896. In the ruined bars of the Jewish quarter, craft beer is served in buildings that survived the Holocaust and the 1956 revolution. The architecture remembers everything. The people have learned to live with memory. The tension between old and new is visible in the smallest details. The Hungarian language itself is a living artifact. Unlike almost every other language in Europe, Hungarian is Finno-Ugric, related to Finnish and Estonian, but to almost nothing else in between. Its grammar is complex, its vocabulary unique, its structure a reminder of origins that reach back to the Ural Mountains thousands of years ago. Young Hungarians code in English, consume media in English, work in English-speaking environments. But at home, around the dinner table, the language shifts back to Hungarian, and with it a different way of processing the world. The technology sector in Budapest is booming, yet traditional crafts survive. In the village of Mezőkövesd, near Eger, the Matyo embroidery tradition continues. Women still stitch elaborate floral patterns onto aprons, tablecloths, and traditional costumes by hand. The patterns are centuries old. The hands that make them are young. This is not preservation for tourists. It is continuity for its own sake. In agriculture, the same tension plays out. Modern combines harvest wheat on the Great Plain with GPS-guided precision. Meanwhile, in the hills of Tokaj, grapes are still picked by hand, the harvest a community event that brings families together from across the country. The winemaker in his cellar beneath the volcanic hill has a laptop connected to international distributors and a wooden press that his grandfather built with his own hands. Both are essential. Neither is sufficient alone. Young Hungarians navigate this duality with a particular skill. They are European, globally connected, educated abroad. They speak multiple languages. They move between cultures with ease. But they also carry something older, a connection to the land, to the language, to the specific way that a Hungarian grandmother makes chicken paprikash that cannot be replicated and cannot be explained. This generation is building a Hungary that is modern without being rootless, traditional without being trapped. And so we arrive at the final question. Hungary is not the richest country in Europe. It is not the warmest, not the most stable, not the easiest. The winter fogs of Budapest can settle for days without lifting. The summer heat on the Great Plain can feel like standing inside an oven. The politics are complicated. The economy is improving but uneven. The language is famously, almost comically difficult. So why do people stay? They stay for the land. For the sight of the Danube at dawn from the fisherman's bastion in Buda, the river a sheet of hammered silver spreading toward the horizon. For the Great Plain at dusk, when the light turns gold, and the cattle move slowly toward the barns, and the whole world seems to breathe out at once. For Lake Balaton in July, the water warm and shallow, the sound of families laughing carrying across the surface. They stay for the food. For a bowl of gulyas that tastes exactly the way their grandmother made it. For the first glass of Tokaj and Eger of the evening, poured in a cellar cool enough to make you shiver in August. For the bread, the paprika, the sour cherries in summer, the stuffed cabbage at Christmas, the chimney cakes spinning over coals in the winter market. They stay for the baths, for the ritual of slipping into thermal water while snow falls on the outdoor pools, for the conversations that happen in that warm water, conversations that would never happen in an office or a cafe, for the feeling of emerging after 2 hours, muscles loose, skin soft, the world reset. They stay for the culture, for the poetry. Hungary is a nation that treats its poets with the reverence other countries reserve for generals. For the music that fills the opera house, the concert halls, the music schools in every town. For the language itself, unique, ancient, impossible, theirs. They stay because of family, because Sunday lunch is not just lunch, because the grandmother in the village still expects everyone at the table, because leaving would mean abandoning not just a place, but a network of obligation and love that stretches across generations. They stay because of Budapest, a city that survived everything history threw at it and emerged not just intact, but magnificent. The Parliament building glowing gold on the riverbank at night, the bridges lit up like necklaces, the ruin bars, the coffee houses, the thermal baths, the crooked streets of the castle district, the grand boulevards of Pest, the quiet hills of Buda. And they stay because of something harder to name. A feeling that this land, this language, this culture is worth preserving. That being Hungarian means something that cannot be replicated anywhere else on earth. A quiet, stubborn, paprika-scented pride in having survived everything, in having kept the language alive against every historical current, in having built from the flat center of Europe a nation that is unmistakably, irreducibly itself. Hungary asks something of you. It asks you to learn its impossible language, to accept its complicated history, to sit through its long Sunday lunches, to sink into its thermal waters and let go of whatever you were holding. And in return, it offers something that is becoming rare in the modern world. A sense of place so deep, so layered, so rich with memory and flavor and sound, that leaving it becomes unthinkable. If this journey through Hungary has moved something in you, subscribe to Tour Guide. Every week, we take you inside the lives of places most people only ever visit. One word in the comments. What does Hungary make you feel? We'll see you in the next chapter. Explore more, worry less.